So today I want to focus on sleep. And the foundational groundwork is something we really do cover and focus in our free boot camp. So if you missed our 5-day boot camp and you want to make sure you don't miss another, the wait list is open. I'll pop the link in the show notes for you. But we don't really talk about sleep. So I think that's where this idea came from, because we talk a lot about nutrition. We talk a little bit about all of them, but we mainly focus on the nutritional aspect. And then we work in the mindset aspect. But we really don't talk a lot about sleep. And it's such an underrated tool and treatment when it comes to improving your fertility. And I think the reason for that is because it's sleep. Like, we all do it. Everyone knows you have to sleep. You cannot just stay awake forever. That will not work for you. You have to sleep. And because sleep is just this process that happens, that everyone does, we don't really think about it as a treatment. We don't really think about it as something that we prescribe to ourselves or your practitioner prescribes to you. But the research shows us that having good, adequate, restful sleep is incredibly important for proper hormone balance and for both female and male factor fertility. So let's start with the women really quick. We don't have or at least I didn't have it in my resource manager, but we don't have a good direct correlation study, like a randomized control trial. We have a couple of really interesting studies with men that I do think we've talked about on the podcast before, but I'll bring them back into today's episode as well. But how we know that sleep impacts the female aspect of fertility is basically in relation to how it impacts cortisol and general just hormone balance. When we sleep, it's like our body's time to reset. It's our body's time to finish up all the metabolic processes, use up all the glucose, deal with all the insulin from when you were eating through the day. It's our body's time to just have a break from the cortisol spikes and the adrenaline spikes and get ready for the day. We commit our day to short and long-term memory. There's a lot of brain neuro pathway stuff that is happening. It's when we just finally get our system gets a breather, basically, for lack of a better word. And without it, we start to see impacts in these areas. We start to see impacts in brain neurochemicals. We start to see impacts in our body's ability to manage glucose and insulin and more metabolic damage. We start to see impacts in how our body uses cortisol and or then how it impacts our thyroid, how that impacts our estrogen, how that impacts our progesterone. We see a cascade in the entire endocrine system, which is our hormone pathways, our hormone system. So when I say we need to sleep, what does that mean? Because I think everyone has these different ideas based on what's worked for them in the past. And I see this with clients all the time. They're like, oh yeah, I've only ever really needed 6 hours of sleep. I feel fine. I'm not tired. First off, weird and great for you. If I only got 6 hours of sleep, I would be exhausted. But a part of that too is just habit, right? If your body's just used to living off of that, it kind of learns how to adapt, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's what is best for you. And so the research has found that the sweet spot is about 7.5 to 8.5 hours of sleep a night. And then we can go down this whole rabbit hole of deep sleep, REM sleep. What does that look like? Because you might be someone who sleeps 9 hours a night, but if you're not actually getting into a deep, restful sleep, you're still not really reaping the benefits of what good sleep is going to bring to you. So really making sure we're giving an ample amount of time to have restful sleep.